So, getting back to the traffic lights. When you come across a flashing yellow light, now we're using the traffic lights as an analogy to learn to listen to the heart, because the same principles apply beautifully here. When you come across a yellow flashing light, you know to slow down. If we don't obey the traffic lights, we're going to kill ourselves or someone else on the roads. These are laws we need to obey. And the same goes for our intuition, our heart lights. They're all important. Stop, go and wait. But many people ignore the yellow one, as they do on the roads. Most people obey red and green, but if they get a yellow one, they gamble with it. Oh, I'm going to speed up, go through it. That's when a lot of accidents happen, people going through yellow lights. And it's when a lot of emotional accidents happen, when people go through the yellow lights of caution. It takes a wise heart to be cautious. Now, you know the yellow light means slow down, look around, check to see if you're safe. Don't just proceed ahead without looking. Do your research. The same goes whenever you hear the words coming out of your mouth or someone you care about's mouth, whether it's a child or a lover or a colleague or a friend, when you hear them saying, I just don't know, I don't know, they are in a very important place. They are at the yellow light between a big decision of red or green. And deciding not to decide is a very important skill only the wise heart masters. Because if we don't stop and turn down the volume, what everybody else thinks we should do, they would be going, they would be stopping, and listen to what's right for us, we're going to get lost following somebody else's lights, someone else's heart lights. Our heart lights are set to our hearts, like our palate. If we go to a restaurant, we're all going to choose our own combination from a smorgasbord luncheon on what we want to eat. Now, just because somebody else likes offal and somebody doesn't, it doesn't mean the other person's wrong, it just means it's their palate. Now, our heart lights are also wired to our heart's palate. We will get lost following somebody else's. I always say to my clients, I haven't got your answers, but I know how to help you use your instrument so you can find your truth. Because you've got an instrument, which is your heart lights, that work. But most people, if they're drinking and drugging, or they're using any weapon of mass distraction excessively, anything obsessively, and I'll talk about obsession and passion later on. But if you're drinking, drugging, you've got using food to disconnect, and that means binging and purging. If you're self-harming, which means you're using physical pain to disconnect. If you're spending in dangerous amounts, gambling, spending, you're buying hope and you're buying external illusion to try and escape from yourself. If you're using any form of obsessive, dangerous external behavior and ego, you won't hear your heart lights. And those weapons of mass distraction are designed so you look out there, not in here. So, if we want emotional intimacy with ourselves and other people, we've got to show up and listen and study the heart lights and listen for what's right for us. Now, giving ourselves at least 72 hours, at least 3 days to sit with indecision is important, because often if we can just give ourselves 3 days to process, something that seems really bad on a Monday can seem very different on a Thursday. And sometimes when you've got indecision, I always say, give yourself at least 3 days. It's a magic amount of time, 72 hours, just to allow yourself to go through the processes. And you hear people say, look, sleep on it. I always say, give it 72 hours before, decide not to decide for at least 72 hours. And if you're still in a state of indecision after 72 hours, let's unpack it a bit more. And if you don't have anyone to talk to yourself. Tape yourself. Talk about the pros and cons, and then listen to yourself back and be a best friend. What advice would you give to someone you really, really cared about if you heard them presenting their case? So your heart lights, stop, go and wait. Red, yellow and green. Intuition is a spiritual faculty. It doesn't tell us, explain, it just points the way. And when you know in your heart it's a yellow light, stop and wait and say, I'm going to decide not to decide. And it doesn't matter if everyone else is pressuring you. It's not their call to make your heart decisions. And if it's a red and you know you need to stop, or you need to leave, or you need to go, It doesn't matter what other people think. You've got to honour your own heart lights. Otherwise, you will get lost in other people's scripts of who you should be. And if it's a green light and good stuff's coming your way, we're allowed to step into our power and abundance and glory and success and say, thank you very much. Yes, that's for me, and I'll enjoy that.